The young and the restless spoilers shock. Jack Abbott had always trusted his instinct, and for the most part, they had served him well. As the head of Jabot, he had made countless decisions that had steered the family business through stormy waters. Faced with the growing distance between himself and his son Kyle, Jack felt an unshakable sense that he needed to do something drastic. His solution? To bring Claire, the woman Kyle was so enamored with, into the fold at Jabot. Jack believed that by winning Claire over, he could ultimately guide Kyle back to the family business and, more importantly, back into the Abbott family's embrace. Claire had become an increasingly influential figure in Kyle's life. Her presence was a source of strength for him, and her opinions held considerable sway. But Jack's plan to recruit Claire was not simply about business. It was about family. He hoped that by having Claire on his side, he could repair the strained relationship with his son and keep the Abbott legacy intact. However, what Jack hadn't anticipated was the strength of Claire's convictions and her deep-seated opposition to his and Diane's methods of parenting. Claire was a woman of her own mind, confident in her abilities and unwavering in her beliefs. She had seen the way Jack and Diane had tried to control Kyle, and she did not agree with their approach. To her, it was clear that their attempts to manipulate and guide Kyle's life were not only misguided but also damaging. When Jack approached her with the offer to join Jabot, Claire did not hesitate in her response. She refused. Jack was taken aback by her refusal. He had believed that Claire's love for Kyle would be enough to sway her, to make her see the benefits of aligning with the Abbott family. But Claire was not easily persuaded. She had no interest in helping Jack and Diane correct their mistakes, or in supporting a family whose values she did not share. Claire, the only priority was Kyle, and she was determined to stand by him, no matter the cost. Kyle, for his part, was struggling. The recent events had left him wounded, particularly his mother's decision to fire him. Betrayal cut deep. Kyle had always sought his mother's approval, and to be cast aside so easily was a blow he hadn't expected. But in Claire, he found solace. She was the one person who stood by him unconditionally, who believed in him when no one else did. Her loyalty gave him the strength to keep going, to believe that he could carve out his own path, separate from the Abbott family's expectations. Jack's frustration grew as he watched his plans unravel. He had always believed in the power of family, in the strength that came from unity. But now, as Kyle drifted further away, Jack was forced to confront the reality that his approach might have been wrong. Claire's rejection was a clear message. She wasn't interested in being a pawn in Jack's game, and she certainly wasn't going to help. Instead, Claire chose to align herself with Victor Newman, a man whose power and influence were undeniable. Victor had always been a formidable presence in Genoa City, and Claire knew that her future would be safer under his protection. She wasn't about to make the mistake of crossing him, especially not when her and Kyle's happiness hung in the balance. By standing with Kyle and Victor, Claire was making a bold statement. She was done playing by the Abbott family's rules, and she was ready to forge her own path, no matter the consequence. Kyle was heartened by Claire's unwavering support. She was the one constant in his life, the person who believed in him, even when his own family didn't. Her decision to reject Jack's offer and stay by his side was a testament to her love and loyalty, and it gave Kyle the strength to continue standing firm in his decisions. He wasn't ready to return to the Abbott family. Not yet. There were too many wounds that needed healing, too many mistakes that needed to be addressed. As Jack watched from the sidelines, he couldn't help but feel a pang of regret. His plans had backfired, pushing Kyle further away rather than bringing him back into the fold. But Jack was nothing if not resilient. He knew that the road to reconciliation would be long and difficult, but he wasn't ready to give up on his son. Not yet. He had made mistakes, and now it was time to face the consequences. But Jack was determined to find a way to make things right, even if it meant stepping back and letting Kyle come to his own conclusions. Meanwhile, Kyle and Claire found themselves navigating a new chapter in their lives, one that was free from the expectations and pressures of the Abbott family. They were united in their resolve to build a future together, one that was defined by their own choices rather than the dictates of others. For Kyle, this was a chance to prove himself, to show that he could succeed on his own terms. And with Claire by his side, he felt ready to take on whatever challenges lay ahead. The Abbott family was at a crossroads, with each member facing their own battles and decisions. Jack's attempt to bring Kyle back had failed. The story was far from over. As tensions continued to simmer, the question remained: would the Abbott family be able to mend the fractures that had formed, or would they be torn apart by the very forces that once held them together? For now, Kyle wasn't ready to return to the Abbott fold. He was focused on the future he was building with Claire. Future that, for the first time, felt truly his own. And as he moved forward, he knew that the support of the woman he loved would be his guiding light, helping him navigate the complexities of life in Genoa City. But the Abbotts were a resilient family, and their story was far from over. In the end, only time would tell whether they could overcome their differences and reunite as a family, or whether the fractures would deepen,